At the end of last year, we in fact began what is now completing this last gallery.
This was a 7-month process. As soon as the museum closed in October, we stripped out the old cases, the old walls, covered up the old fireplace, then we put in new walls, new insulation.
The strategy was to tackle the space that we're in right now with what is actually the bulk of our collection, which is 1800s local items.
Began hanging artifacts, adding graphics and storylines, and that's how we arrived at what you see today.
And in all these years, there has been a remarkable collection of Bedford County artifacts, memorabilia, depicting the history of this county into what a phenomenal resource that we have. Just fabulous.
The whole hangs together as one narrative. The whole point of the script, the way I wrote it, was to pick out what is distinctive about Bedford's history. It was specifically laid out and mapped out by a surveyor. Now, most small towns just start with one focal point. This place was mapped out. So that's something that makes Bedford really stand out from other small towns. The second part of the settlement section is how people lived on the land when they first arrived to settle.
This is the Griffin Field gun and limber, and these are pieces that came to Bedford's collection, the town's collection, in around the 1890s. They are Civil War era. They are from the Phoenixville Foundry, which is here in Pennsylvania. And this particular gun, as story has it, was sent to the city of Philadelphia to protect it from Confederate advance. And of course, they never got any farther than Gettysburg, but this was in place to do that. So after the war, it came to the collection of the town and actually was out on display in the town square for quite some time in the early part of the 20th century.
This is the last panel in the settlement section. People had to raise their own food. It was very difficult to start that. So people had to hunt and fish and trap just to put food on the table. This is a standard pre-industrial toolkit for domestic life. We picked some artifacts simply because they, in and of themselves, as objects, are just gorgeous. The Barclays are one theme that I picked up on and have woven in and out of the whole exhibit. Hugh Barclay was here in the 1790s, and his son, Francis Bailey Barclay, married Camilla Bonnet in 1823, and this is actually their wedding outfit.
Now, the wedding dress itself was the main thing that was on exhibit, and it had been exposed over about 50 years, more than 50 years. It had been exposed to all the climate fluctuations by just being out in the exposed air on a mannequin. So what I had to do to just restore the dress is to clean it, but using a dry clean process, and not just a chemical dry cleaning like you could take it to the cleaner. First, I vacuumed the piece using a very fine mesh screen and a specialty vacuum. And then I dusted the entire thing with talc on both sides.
We intend to put this museum, quite frankly, on the national map. The Fort Bedford Museum will be one of the reasons you actually come to Bedford.